Hello and welcome to VTV News, brought to you by VTV International. I am Minh Hằng from Hanoi. Let's now check out the headlines we have for you. China deploys 86 vessels to protect illegal oil rig. An embroidery masterpiece dedicated to late President Ho Chi Minh. In the first news today, now China deployed 86 vessels on Tuesday to protect the Haiyang Yacht 981 oil rig, which has been illegally installed in Vietnam's exclusive economic zone and continental shelf, according to the Vietnam Marine Police. Now, VTV correspondents have recently reached the waters near the Paracel Islands, close to the location of the oil rig. Vietnamese Marine Police ships and fishery control ships approached the locations of China's illegal oil rig using loudspeakers and ships to drive Chinese vessels away on Tuesday. Although Vietnamese ships have tried to ward off attacks and warn Chinese vessels of their wrongdoings, many Chinese vessels have continued to escalate tensions by endangering Vietnamese ships. Chinese vessels number 46001 fire water cannons at Vietnamese Marine Police ships number 4032, breaking 10 meters of the handrails on the boat. Vietnamese fishermen are maintaining normal activities in waters near the Paracel Islands thanks to the support of the Vietnamese Marine Police and fishery control ships. Further development of China's illegal deployment of an oil rig in Vietnam's water and exclusive economic zone will be updated. Now, China EC transgressions continue to draw widespread condemnation from the international community and Vietnam. However, Vietnam's consistent positions on EC issues dictates that it should be resolved by peaceful means in accordance with international law.
As the EC disputes continue, Vietnam has received widespread support from both domestic and international organizations. However, staging protests and damaging factories is against Vietnamese law, and it maintains its consistent position to resolve the disputes through peaceful means in accordance with international law.
Trung Quốc là bên gây hấn.
Such behavior has violated Vietnamese law and affects businesses and the lives of people around them. As we call for international support, we have to comply with both international law and Vietnamese legislation. I think these behaviors must be stopped, and Vietnamese people should show their opposition through peaceful means.
I
think the gathering of workers in Bình Dương province shows their patriotism for Vietnam. Unfortunately, their actions have so passed the limit allowed by law. Public gatherings in Vietnam must abide by the law, and if you violate and damage other people's property, you will be fined from 2 to 5 million Vietnamese đồng according to the law in Vietnam.
Experts believe it is crucial for Vietnamese people to understand the country's position and policies on the EC disputes. Vietnam is strong and uncompromising, but fully complies with international laws on this issue. This will be enhanced through the peaceful actions of the Vietnamese people.
Thousands of employees from enterprises in the Vietnam-Singapore One industrial zone in Bình Dương province stopped working on Tuesday and held a march to oppose China's territorial violations. Before the situation, the Vietnam General Confederations of Labor issues guidance to labor unions at all levels, particularly in cities and provinces which home industrial zone, in order to calm down workers and lead them back to work. Labor unions have been asked to supervise workers and disseminate information so that workers can express their patriotism prudently. Labor unions are responsible for helping workers to avoid provocation from subversive elements that could affect social security and domestic life.
Exotic Vietnam is an intriguing blend of many charms. This land is where all manner of stunning landscapes await like a visual feast, rivaled only by the beauty of its people and their abundantly rich tradition and culture. Here is where you can relive the past in richest color or live it up in the bright lights of the big city. With so much more to offer, Vietnam is simply unforgettable.
Welcome back to VTV News. Now, the Prime Minister has signed a decision to establish the Price Management Steering Committee headed by Deputy Prime Minister Vũ Văn Ninh. The steering committees will help the Prime Minister to develop guidelines and make decisions regarding price management while giving directions to municipal and provincial agencies to solve problems related to prices of essential goods in order to control inflation and stabilize the macroeconomy. Projects in the Mekong Delta to convert sugarcane fields into corn fields have proven to be beneficial. However, the process of mechanizing corn cultivation is slowing due to conditional obstacles.
Despite the good turnover, corn growers are working much harder than sugarcane farmers. According to calculations from pilot projects, mechanizing corn plantations in the Mekong Delta region will help growers save about $400 per hectare compared to manual labor.
I have been harvesting corn non-stop for several days and it's very tiring. Sugarcane plantations require less manual work than this.
This area used to be for sugarcane plantations, so the soil was split next to small water channels. This makes it harder to mechanize the process as it requires certain type of machinery. In addition, water channel reduced plantations by 1/3 of the total area, so the cost of labor goes up when farmers want to cover sugarcane fields into corn fields.
According to the pilot projects, mechanization will be 3 times more productive than the manual labor and significantly reduce costs.
The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development has identified these problems and state that the process of mechanization in Mekong Delta will need a detailed strategy and financial support to implement modern technology.
A detailed strategy for seasonal structures, seedling and new technologies along with a mechanization process should be well planned and distributed to agricultural extension centers so that these centers can inform farmers.
According to the minister, in the next 2 weeks, about 200,000 households in the Mekong Delta plantation area will receive training on the matter to help accelerate the process of mechanization.
Japan International Cooperation Agency, or JICA, will provide technical support to help Vietnam set up an anti-human trafficking hotline in order to cope with increasingly difficult human trafficking cases in recent years, particularly in border provinces. A delegation from JICA on Tuesday started a 3-day field trip in Tịnh Biên district of southern province of An Giang to collect data on local current situation. The switchboard for this hotline will be set up in Hanoi. It will connect to other ends in northern province of Hà Giang and southern province of An Giang, where high levels of human trafficking cases recorded. This hotline project, expected to be put into operation from 2012 to 2015, promises to help authorities rapidly detect and prevent human trafficking cases in border regions. In other news, 2 ceramic murals titled The Spratly Archipelago, The Strength of Vietnam, have been recently completed and put on public display on Trường Sa Lớn Islands in Khánh Hòa province. The first is 4.8 meters tall and 20 meters long and features 9 figures who represent different social backgrounds and armed forces standing together to illustrate national solidarity. The second is an old mural which has been renovated in ceramic and carefully process so they can stand weather and times, and as strong evidence of Vietnamese patriotism and confirmations of the country's sovereignty. Well-known master artisans of embroidery, Lê Văn Kinh from Huế, has finished a work of art dedicated to late President Ho Chi Minh on the occasions of the leader's 124th birthday. Once again, this work of art has gained recognition from the record organizations of Vietnam. Let's see how special it is.
Master artisan Lê Văn King has nurtured the idea of creating a piece dedicated to President Ho Chi Minh for a long time. His embroidery work this time is special because the artisan has used silk thread to embroider 2 poems from the prison diary, a famous work by President Ho Chi Minh. The 2 poems are embroidered in 2 languages, Vietnamese and Chinese.
I want to express my deep respect for President Ho Chi Minh. In my embroidery work is indeed the desire of my life.
Master artisan Lê Văn King is famous for landscape embroidery work, but this was a really different experience and challenge for him because he has to embroider both Vietnamese and Chinese scripts. To perfect his work, King used silk thread and canvas of the best quality and put the utmost care into every little stitch.
I want to add spiritual value to my work, so I've carefully selected special materials. I've traveled to different places to find suitable fabric, and a silk thread was manually colored by artisans in Hanoi.
Now, at the age of over 80 years old, embroidery works dedicated to President Ho Chi Minh are the most valuable treasures to this master artisan. He says that if his health remains, he might create more works to further express his respect to the national leader.
Here comes the updated weather forecast of major cities and provinces in Vietnam and around the world. And that is all we have for you at this hour. Simply log on to our address at vtv4.vn if you would like to rewatch this program. Thank you very much for tuning in. For now, goodbye from Hanoi.